let the world know. World of Israel. Snap your fingers, snap them. Snap your fingers, snap them. World of Israel. Snap your fingers, snap them. Ain't nobody greater, ain't nobody greater. You say that you love him, but you won't even keep his laws to save your life. You say that you need him, but when problems arise, you try to solve it your way. Yeah. You say that you wanna go back with him. I know that that's a fact, but what is the use when you won't serve him? I advise you to serve the Lord right now. The Most High is the best, best, best. Ain't nobody greater. We'll help you through your test. Ain't nobody greater. He's Lord God, oh yeah. He's his heart. When problems knock you down, so please just remember this. Ain't nobody greater. You say that there's nothing wrong with breaking God's laws. You say that there's nothing wrong, and nothing bad will happen to you. But don't you know if you're gonna repent? But don't you know? But don't you know you're gonna die? But don't you know you're gonna die? But don't you know? But if you repent, but don't you know save your life? But don't you know you're gonna rise? The Most High is the best, best, best. Ain't nobody greater. We'll help you through your test. Ain't nobody greater. He's Lord God, oh yeah. He's his heart. When problems knock you down, when it gets hard, so please just remember this.
Shalom and good evening to everyone. I'm Chaz Baraj and the Amy Hood of the tribe of Judah. I'm the chief ambassador of the Second March to Exodus movement, according to Ephesians chapter 6, verse 18 through 21. Praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, and watching thereunto with all perseverance and supplication for all saints, and for me, that utterance may be given unto me, that I may open my mouth boldly to make known the mystery of the gospel, for which I am an ambassador in bonds, that therein I may speak boldly as I ought to speak, but that ye also may know my affairs and how I do. I would like to welcome you all to the Second March to Exodus movement phone conference, held each Tuesday and Thursday at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, the Most High willing. Before we get started, I would like to give all praises to the Most High, Ahaya Be'Hashem, Yeshaya Ha Messiah Rawat Ha Kadash, and to say a prayer to bring us into the Second March to Exodus conference. Fill us with your Holy Spirit, O Most High, and help us that we may keep untarnished the hope of the second advent of Yeshaya Messiah. Persecution and afflictions, hardships, and disappointments are the textbooks of your schoolroom, by the side of your psalms of joy, peace, service, and triumph. With your commandments for our redemption, you bound your blessings for our glory, your forgiveness of our sins, and your undwelling in us of your Holy Spirit have made us a member of your household. Grant unto your servants boldness, both in prayer and in speech. Guide us that we may care to obey you above all the teachings of men, that we may know out of our own experience that there is no other name under heaven that is given among men, whereby we must be saved, but the blessed name of Yeshua, which is the word, and to whom be glory and dominion forever. So be it. Okay, after I'm done speaking, I will be opening the mic for a question. Please raise your hand by tapping on the word more and the 3 dots at the bottom of your screen, and then tap the raise hand button. You may want to get a pencil and a pen and a paper to take down notes. It's going to be another night of great information. Okay, tonight's topic is how lawsuits are filed against Israelites by prosecuting attorneys through indictment in their so-called federal and state regulated incorporated black and or African American, etc. status under their European slave names. This is part 2 of the topic, how Israelites are murdered with impunity by police code enforcers and lawsuits filed against biblical Israelites by code enforcers in their so-called federal and state regulated incorporated black and or African American, etc. status under their European slave names we discussed on October the 24th. In part 1, we gave and discussed the definitions of traffic ticket, commerce, trade, contract, corporations, ultra virus, summons, and other matters. You may want to go and look at that conference video if you have not done so. As stated in the previous conference, some of the Israelites claim to be awake and in the truth, but are still allowing ourselves to be prosecuted in a so-called federal and state regulated incorporated black and or African American, etc. status under European slave names. There are 2 ways a lawsuit can be filed against a sovereign Israelite dual American national republic. 1, by a corporate police code enforcer by way of a traffic ticket in disguise of fictional federal and state regulated incorporated black and or African American, etc. status and European slaves names. Or by 2, a prosecuting attorney by way of an indictment from a grand jury in disguise of our fictional federal and state regulated incorporated black and or African American status and European slave names. However, and as stated previously tonight, discussion will be focused on how lawsuits are filed against biblical Israelites and prosecuted by prosecuting attorneys on behalf of a state through indictment. Okay, let us begin. Some camps, Israelites and other people have 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 13, the submission to our oppressors, authority, scriptures twisted. I'm going to explain to you why. Let us see what 1 Peter's chapter 2, verse 13 says. Submit yourself to every ordinance of man for the Most High's sake, whether it be to the king as supreme, or unto governors as unto them that are sent by him, for the punishment of evildoers, and for the praise of them that do well. For so is the will of God that will doing ye may put to silence the ignorance of foolish men, as free and not using your liberty for a cloak of maliciousness. Can't get that out. But as the servant of God, honor all men, love thy brother, fear God, and honor the king. First off, Genesis chapter 15, verse 13 through 14 says, and he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterwards shall they come out with great substance. That 400 years of affliction and being a surety for our oppressor prophecies of Genesis chapter 15, verse 13 are over. We are now in the prophecies of Genesis chapter 15, verse 14 that says, and also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterwards shall they come out with great substance. We are waking up, and the curses of Deuteronomy 28, 15 through 68 are lifting because we have awakened. It will truly be stupid and ignorant. It will surely be a stupid and ignorant thing to continue to act like we're asleep and continue to allow our oppressors to continue to mistreat us when we know we are now awake. That's what some of the camps want you to believe we must continue to do after we are awake, because after waking us up, they have no clue of what to do beyond waking us up. The next step is what the Most High is having me to do right now. Prepare we Israelites for our second Exodus by lawfully declaring our sovereign Israelite nationality on paper. Receive our lawful sovereign Israelite declaration, our lawful sovereign Israelite Hebrew names, our lawful sovereign Israelite tribal identifications, and our lawful sovereign Israelite automobile tags, and then exit it when it's time. The camps that have incorporated themselves don't want us to declare the sovereignty given to us from our Most High Ahaya, our Father. According to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 6, verse 3, for power is given you of the Most High, and sovereignty from the highest. Who shall try your works and search out your counsels? For those of you that don't know what a sorority is, go back and watch the Second March to Exodus movement four videos that are on YouTube under my channel, Chaz Faraj Amihood. Secondly, we are also in the time of Deuteronomy chapter 17, verse 15, that states, thou shalt in any wise set him a king over thee, whom the Most High thy God shall choose. One from among thy brethren shall thy set king over thee. Thou mayest not set a stranger over thee, which is not thy brother. So right now, we have come out of the 400-year captivity and slavery. Now it's time for us to begin to declare our nationality and our sovereignty. I mean, why? What's the point of coming out? What's the point of the end of 400-year captivity if we're not like trying to come out? Trying to reestablish our nationality and our sovereignty. So those are the prophecies and the law of the Most High Ahaya that I'm bringing to our people and the other nations to let you know, to let them know that we are indeed sovereign, but we must declare it. Now I shall continue to bring the law of the Most High Ahaya, Be'eshem Yeshaya HaMessiah, Wa Rawak HaKadash, and the law in which the Most High Ahaya is judging this nation and nations from around the world where the true biblical Israelites have been dispersed. The Most High Ahaya is not only judging our oppressors through his law, but also through the law of man, in which our oppressors have created and has brought against themselves to be judged. Their own laws, according to Genesis chapter 15, verse 14, and also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterwards shall they come out with great substance, meaning we Israelites. And Psalms chapter 7, verse 16, his mischief shall return upon his own head, and his violent dealing shall come down upon his own back. As we discussed in the previous conferences, we stated that in order for there to be a crime, there must be a victim. According to Black's Law Free Online Legal Dictionary, 2nd edition, the definition for victim is a person harmed by criminal acts. Attack, target. So what is the definition for a person? According to Black's Law Free Online Legal Dictionary, 2nd edition, the definition for person is a man considered according to the rank he holds in society, with all the rights to which the place he holds entitles him, and the duties which imposes a human being considered as capable of having rights and of being charged with duties, while a thing is the object over which rights may be exercised. An artificial person, non-human entity that is created by law and is legally different, owning its own rights and duties, aka juristic person and legal person, referred to body corporate. You hear that word? Corporate. That word. So a corporation is considered a person also. So these camps are incorporating themselves, and they still considered a person, but it's not the same type of person that you may believe a person to be. A legal person. Remember that word, legal. A legal person, a corporation. What is the definition for a corporation? According to Black's Law Free Online Legal Dictionary, 2nd edition, the definition for corporation is an artificial person. Artificial person. Or legal entity created by or under the authority of the laws of a state or nation, composed in some rare instance of a single person and his successor, and being the incumbent of a particular office, but ordinarily consisting of an association of numerous individuals whose subset is as a body politic under a special denomination, which is regarded in law as having a personality and existing distinct from that or of its several members, and which is by the same authority vested with the capacity of continuous succession, irrespective of change in its membership, either in perpetuity or for a limited terms of years, and of acting as a unit or single individual in matters relating to the common purpose of the association, within the scope of the powers and authorities conferred upon such bodies by law. So notice the definition for persons and corporations is legal in nature. Legal in nature. So there's a difference between legal and lawful, and we're going to get to that. We have discussed in previous meetings that the government we sovereign Israelite dual American national republics classified as federal and state employee regulated incorporated black and or African American slaves. Yeah, they have us classified as federal and state employee regulated incorporated black and or African American slaves. Okay, so what is the difference between lawful and legal? The adjective lawful has 4 senses. Yep, the adjective lawful has 4 senses. Conformable to or allowed by law. 2, according to customs or rule or natural law. 3, authorized, sanctioned by or in accordance with law. 4, having a legal established claim. Okay, clearly number 4 is the reason why many people believe both lawful and legal mean the same thing. To say an act is lawful implies that it is authorized, sanctioned, or at any rate not forbidden by law. The term lawful more clearly suggests an ethical content than does the word legal. Legal denotes compliance with technical or formal rules. To say that an act is legal implies that it is done or performed in accordance with the forms and usage of law, or in a technical manner. In this sense, illegal approaches the meaning of invalid. Legal fraud is possible, but lawful fraud is contradiction in terms. Note, however, that a lawful writ, warrant, or process is the same as legal writ, warrant, or process. Example, lawful versus legal marriage is lawful, that we know. Also, we know that government cannot give a license or permit you to do anything that is unlawful. For example, if sexual intercourse constitutes a lawful marriage, according to the one flesh union of Genesis chapter 2, verses 23 to 24, then why would we need legal permission from the corporate government? Nonetheless, government insists you have a marriage license certificate so that your marriage is legal. So the government can legally bring an indictment against we sovereign Israelite dual American national republics as federal and state employee regulated incorporated black and or African Americans, etc., slaves. Okay, so what is the definition for an indictment? According to Black's Law Free Online Legal Dictionary, 2nd edition, An indictment is a written accusation of one or more persons of a crime or misdemeanor, presented to and preferred upon oath or affirmation by a grand jury legally convoked. If, however, we can do something legally with a license certificate, we can do the same thing lawfully without one. In brief, lawful and legal differ in that lawful contemplates the substance of law, its content, meaning its content, whereas legal alludes to the form of law, its form or its or appearance, means that it deceives you to believe in that what is legal is actually lawful when it's not actually. Lawful speaks of freedom, while legal speaks of being enslaved. Something spoken of as legal or illegal is actually considered color of law. Color of law, we talked about color of law um, in the previous meetings, conferences. Okay, so what is the definition of color of law? According to Black's Law Free Online Legal Dictionary, second edition, the appearance or semblance without the substance. See, color of law. It says the appearance or semblance without the substance of legal right. Of legal right. It means that it's not real. It has no substance. So if it don't have any substance, how can we abide by something that is legal? Here's what we have as a play on words. It says the appearance of semblance without the substance of legal right. We just gave the definition for legal in the sense of illegal, approaches the meaning of invalid. It should read the appearance or semblance without the substance of lawful right, because the adjective lawful has four senses. One, conformable. Two, or allowed by law. Two, according to customs or rule or natural law. Three, authorized, sanctioned by, or accordance with law. Four, having a legal established claim. As I stated before, the number four is the reason many people believe both lawful and legal mean the same. So, color of law is a legal right with the appearance or semblance without the substance of lawful, meaning that if it doesn't have any substance, then it can't stand. It can't be enforced. Remember that whatever is considered legal is actually something that is actually unlawful and illegal. Remember that, because that's what we're getting out of this. They're saying that something that's legal is color of law. Therefore, it's not truly lawful. There is a difference. Now let's talk about the indictment process. There are two types of charges: one, misdemeanor, and two, felony. If an Israelite is charged with a serious crime, an alleged defendant can expect to face an indictment. The indictment process is typically a two-part system. While this occurs, a grand jury is meeting to listen to the evidence concerning the charges in order to decide if it should return the indictment, which they call a true bill. So what is the definition for a misdemeanor? According to Black's Law Free Online Legal Dictionary, second edition, the definition for misdemeanor is an act committed or omitted in violation of a public law, either forbidding or commending it. The general definition, however, comprehends both crimes and misdemeanors, which properly speaking are mere synonymous terms, though in common usage the word crimes is made to denote such offense as are of a deeper and more atrocious dye, while smaller faults and omissions of less consequences are compressed under the milder term of misdemeanors only. In the English law, misdemeanor is generally used in contradiction to felony, and misdemeanor comprehend all indictable offenses which do not amount to felony, as libels, conspiracies, attempts, and solicitation to commit felonies, etc. So what is the definition for a felony? According to Black's Law Free Online Legal Dictionary, second edition, in English law, the term felony meant originally the state of having forfeited lands and goods to the crown upon conviction for certain offenses, and then by transition, any offense upon conviction. Hold on for a minute. One moment. Excuse me, I'm back. Okay, the crown upon conviction for certain offenses, and then by transition, any offenses upon conviction for which such forfeiture followed, in addition to any other punishments prescribed by law, as distinguished from a misdemeanor upon conviction for which no forfeiture followed. All indictable offenses are either felonies or misdemeanors in American law. The term has no very definite or precise meaning, except in some cases where it is defined by statute. For the most part, the state laws in describing any particular offense declare whether or not it shall be considered a felony. Apart from this, the word seems merely to imply a crime of a graver or more atrocious nature than those designated as misdemeanors. The statutes or codes of several of the states define felony as any public offense or conviction of which the offender is liable to be sentenced to death or to imprisonment in a penitentiary or state prison. The indictment process is supposed to be under the criminal jurisdiction of common law. It's supposed to be. However, there are many types of jurisdictions along with criminal common law jurisdiction, depending on our status and nationality. For example, along with criminal and common law jurisdiction, there is a foreign jurisdiction, full jurisdiction, original jurisdiction, appellate jurisdiction, a concurrent jurisdiction. So there's so much you got to understand about law, about man's law, what jurisdiction you're in, you know, and how you're going to go forward with counterclaiming your accusers for a bogus charge. So what is the definition for jurisdiction? According to Black's Law Free Online Legal Dictionary, second edition, the definition for jurisdiction is the power and authority constitutionally conferred upon or constitutionally recognized as existing in a court or judge to pronounce the sentence of the law, or to award the remedies provided by law upon a state of facts proved or omitted, referred to the tribunal for decisions, and authorized by law to be the subject of investigation or action by that tribunal, and in favor or against persons who present themselves or who are brought before the court in some manner sanctioned by law as proper and sufficient. So what is the definition for criminal jurisdiction? According to Black's Law Free Online Legal Dictionary, second edition, the definition for criminal jurisdiction is the right of a court to hear and decide the case of a criminal nature. So what is the definition for common law jurisdiction? According to Black's Law Free Online Legal Dictionary, second edition, the definition for common law jurisdiction is the jurisdiction of a court to try and decide such cases as were consentable by the courts of law under English common law. The jurisdiction of those courts which exercise their judicial powers according to course of the common law. So what is the definition for foreign jurisdiction? This is the jurisdiction that we're in. We're foreigners. We're not in their jurisdiction. According to Black's Law Free Online Legal Dictionary, second edition, the definition for foreign jurisdiction is a court's authority to hear and try a case from beyond your own borders. So what is the definition for original jurisdiction? According to Black's Law Free Online Legal Dictionary, second edition, the definition for original jurisdiction is the authority of a court that tried the case originally, meaning the case that you went into in the first place. So what is the definition for appellate jurisdiction? According to Black's Law Free Online Legal Dictionary, second edition, the definition for appellate jurisdiction is jurisdiction on appeal, jurisdiction to revise or correct the proceedings in a cause already instituted and acted upon by an inferior court, meaning the original court, meaning the original jurisdictional court. That's where you make an appeal from. Wherever you started from, then you'll go to appeal court because you didn't like what they said. You didn't like the verdict, you know. So we appeal it to a court of appeals, or by a tribunal having the authority attributes of a court. So what is the definition for concurrent jurisdiction? According to Black's Law Free Online Legal Dictionary, second edition, the definition for concurrent jurisdiction, an authority that has been conferred on two or more courts to hear and decide similar cases, or the jurisdiction of a government agency and a court with the same jurisdiction. The problem with this system is that it used to be set up for real, live, breathing flesh and blood men and women under common law, but has been transformed into a system for governmental, federal and state regulated, incorporated, so-called blacks and or African American, etc., Israelite slaves, and so-called white and or Caucasian, federal and state regulated incorporated slaves operating in commerce, and the Uniform Commercial Code, also known as the UCC. Indictment proceedings must be a criminal proceeding in nature in common law, in a common law court. This is very important, my people, because you got to know what court you're in. Because if you go into a court and say you have constitutional rights, the judge will look at you and tell you that you don't have no rights in this courtroom. You know why he says that? Because you're not in a constitutional courtroom. You're not in a common law courtroom. You're not in a criminal courtroom. So what is the definition for common law? According to Black's Law Free Online Legal Dictionary, second edition, the definition for common law is as distinguished from the Roman law, the modern civil law, the canon law, and other systems. The common law is that body of law and juristic theory which was originated, developed, and formulated and is administered in England and has obtained among most of the states and peoples of Anglo-Saxon stock, meaning so-called white people, as distinguished from law created by the enactment of legislatures. Legislation means that when it says distinguished, it means contrary, something opposite of. It means that common law is opposite of legislation. Legislature, man's law, meaning that man's law is not real law. Common law is the real law. So common pleas law compresses the body of those principles and rules of action relating to the government and security of persons and property, which derive their authority solely from usage and custom of immoral iniquity, or from the judgment and decrees of the courts recognizing, affirming, and enforcing such usage and customs, and in this sense, particularly the ancient unwritten law of England. As distinguished from equity law, it is a body of rules and principles, written or unwritten, which are fixed and immutable authority, and which must be applied to controversies. Must be. It said it must be applied, but they're not doing that. They, as a matter of fact, they hide in common law. They hide in common law and putting the smoke screen up with civil law. So rigorously in the entirety, and cannot be modified to suit the peculiarities of specific case or colored by any judicial discretion. You hear that word? It says or colored. Common law cannot be colored. Common law cannot be colored, but civil law can. So we got to know the difference between common law and civil law. Because when you go into court, that's what you're dealing with. You're not dealing with common law on any crime. Discretion which rests confessedly upon custom and statute, as distinguished from any claim to ethical superiority, as distinguished from ecclesiastical law. It is the system of jurisprudence administered by the purely secular tribunals. As concerned its force and authority in the United States, the phrase designates that portion of the common law of England, including such acts of parliament as were applicable, which had been adopted and was enforced here at the time of the Revolution. You hear that? It says, which had been adopted and was enforced here at the time of the Revolution. So what happened to it? Okay, if it was enforced during the Revolution, why ain't it enforced right now? They telling you right there. It was adopted and was in force at the time of the Revolution, meaning that it's no longer in force right now. It's still real law, but they're not using it. This, so far as it is, has not since been expressly abrogated, meaning that abrogated is recognized as an organic part of the jurisprudence of most of the United States. Did you all hear that statement? Which had been adopted and was in force here in the United States of America at the time of the Revolution. This, so far as it has not since been expressly abrogated, is recognized as organic part of the jurisprudence. Meaning, if it haven't been put away, then it's recognized as part of the jurisprudence, meaning of real law, But they have done away with, they have hidden common law. So if common law is organic, why don't you hear much about it anymore? The younger generation don't know too much about common law, such as common law marriages. As I stated above, if that man lay with that woman, he is her husband. And if that woman lay with that man, she is his wife. The one flesh union society used to call common law marriages. So what is the definition of abrogated? According to Black's Law Free Online Legal Dictionary, 2nd edition, the definition for abrogated means to nullify a contract, meaning to void the contract, meaning that they voided common law. Means a mutual agreement. To officially abolish a law. That's what it said up there. To abolish law. Abrogated means to have done away with the common law. They have not done away with the common law. They just hide in the common law and bringing the common law out when they want to make it appear that they have brought the common law out when it's really civil law. In a wider sense than any of the foregoing, the common law may designate all that part of the positive law, juristic law, theory, an ancient custom of any state or nation which is of general and universal application, thus making off special or local rules or customs as compound adjective, common law, is understood as contrasted with or opposed to statutory. See, that's what we in too. Common law is opposed to statutory law. Statutory law is actually civil law too. It's actually part similar to civil law, but it's not real law. Common law is contrasted to statutory law. Common, like I said, common law is real law. So, and sometimes also to equitable to or to criminal. So, what is the definition for jurisprudence? According to Black's Law Free Online Legal Dictionary, second edition, the definition for jurisprudence means philosophy. You hear that? Jurisprudence means philosophy of law, or the science which treats of the principle of positive law and legal relations. All these words are key words. Jurisprudence, positive law, and legal. They all connected. But these are play on words. It sound legit. These words sound legit. You know, positive law, legal, jurisprudence. It sound legit. But you know what? This is we're talking fake law right here. Jurisprudence, positive law, and legal. Positive sound positive. What it sounds like positive, but there's a play on words. It's not real. Positive. Okay. The term is wrongly applied. See? The term is wrongly applied to actual system of law. See? Positive law, legal, and jurisprudence is wrongly applied to actual system of law, or to current views of law, or to suggestions for its amendment, but is the name of a science, meaning that we're not even supposed to be operating with these words because they're not real. According to Colossians chapter 2, verse 8, the Most High says, beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after the Messiah. So right there is telling you that something is wrong. They say philosophy of, it's not correct. This science is a formal or analytical rather than a material one. It is the science of actual or positive law. Again, we hear that word positive law. Something positive. When we think of something positive, it means it's got to be right. It is wrongly divided here. It is wrongly divided into general and particular, or into philosophical or historical. It may therefore be designed as the formal science of positive law. In the proper sense of the word, jurisprudence is the science of law, namely that science which has for its function to ascertain the principle on which legal rules, here we go, legal rules. See, these words are combined, they're joined together, and they really don't mean crap. We're following these words, and people don't understand. Our people are lost for a lack of knowledge, are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Legal rules are based so as not to only to classify those rules in their proper order and to show the relation in which they stand to one another, but also to settle the manner in which new or doubtful cases should be brought under the appropriate rules. Jurisprudence is more formal than a material science. It has no direct concern with questions or moral or political policy. You hear what I'm saying? There's no reason we should be operating under something that is legal, for they fall under the province of ethics and legislation. Legislation is man-made. Remember, legislation is man-made rules, policies, and customs. But when a new or a doubtful case arises to which two different rules seem, when taken literally, to be equally applicable, it may be, and often is, the function of jurisprudence to consider the ultimate effect which would be produced if each rule was applied to an indefinite number of similar cases, and to choose that rule which, when so applied, will produce the greatest advantage to the community. See, What they do is they take something that is not real, even and they take certain rules, certain laws, legal laws, and they compare them together and see which one make more sense. You know, even though neither one of them is actual law, it doesn't really make sense. So they'll use which one that will fool the people into believing it's real law. That's basically what they're saying. So what is the definition for positive law? Check this out. What is the definition for positive law? According to Black's Law Free Online Legal Dictionary, the definition for a positive law means legislature. Again, remember I said legislation is man-made law. It's statute, it's custom, it's practice. You know what I'm saying? It's not that consists of guidelines, statutes, and codes which are imposed upon a country, which are imposed mean forced upon something, on someone. See, that's what happens when we're stopped by the police. He's bringing to you positive law under legal. He said you can't do this. You can't. That's illegal. You illegally ran the light. You illegally ran the stop sign. You illegally was speeding. Guess what? As long as there's no body you harmed, you could do all of that. You could speed, you could run a stop sign, you could make a wrong turn, you could do all of that. Guess what? Because there's no victim. You ain't harmed nobody. In order for there to be a crime, there must be a victim. So we're operating off of legislation, man-made law, something that they created and you agreed to abide by. That's why when he brings out his ticket book and tell you sign and say you got to sign, what if you say you refuse? He's forcing you into a contract. He's forcing you into a contract to agree to these rules, laws, and customs. That's what he's doing. When it's really not law in the first place, because there's no victim. In order for there to be a crime, there must be a victim. So, which are imposed upon the country. It is dissimilar to natural law. You hear that? Positive law is dissimilar to natural law. What is the difference? There is a difference. Natural law and positive law. Positive law is not natural law. Positive law is not positive at all. So, positive law is dissimilar to natural law. Then what is the definition for natural law? According to Black's Law Free Online Legal Dictionary, second edition, the definition for natural law is a rule of conduct arising out of the natural relations of human beings established by the Creator, our Most Higher, the existing prior to any positive precept. So natural law was in the existence prior to positive law. See? Prior to positive law. The foundation of this law is placed by the best writers in the will of God, discovered by right reason and aided by divine revelation, and its principle, when applicable, applied with equal obligation to individuals and to nations. Whereas on the opposite side, legal is only applied when like if the judges want to apply something legal, if the police want to apply something legal, it's one-sided. It's for them. It's not for you. See, legal is not for you. That means that they need you to enter into a contract. They need you to enter into a contract with them. And that's why they say, if you do not sign this ticket, we're going to arrest you. You know what that is? That's being compelled to enter into a contract, and that's against the law. That's against the law. See, but nobody counterclaims these police officers when they bring a ticket against you. A traffic ticket is also a lawsuit. It's actually a lawsuit that a police files against you on behalf of the state in which you were stopped. See? And guess what? The state is not even real. It's a corporation. It's a fiction too. In order for there to be a crime, there must be a victim. A state cannot be a victim. Only in your mind, only if you allow it to be a victim, to go along with this charade, this corporation, this fictional law, legal, what they call legal. Only that's the only way they can. The only way it could be considered. It can go forward because you agree to it. You sign your name to the ticket. So man legislature is the opposite of the Most High's law, and it's positive law. Man's law is positive law. Most High's law is natural law. So the closest thing to Most High's law is common law. See, it's not positive law at all. Positive law is not positive law at all. As a matter of fact, it is dissimilar to natural law. Hold on for a minute. So man legislature law is the opposite of the Most High, a higher law, and it's a positive law. It's not positive law after all, right? I mean, it's not real law. As a matter of fact, it is dissimilar to natural law, which is the law of the Most High. Huh. All praise to the Most High, a higher. Let me preach the truth now. You know, I am of the tribe of Judah. Judah is his lawgiver, and I'm bringing his law and the law of man to help you understand what kind of predicament we actually in. Come on now. Common law is natural law, which they have hidden away. They have hidden away and have replaced with their legislature statutory law. See, we're corporations, only corporations deal with statutory law. Only corporations, and that's the law that they're operating with against you when they stop you for a ticket. Did you hear that statement? That was made previously, that common law is contrasted with, meaning different from, or opposed to, meaning against statutory, and sometimes also to equitable or to criminal. So what is the definition for statutory law? According to Black's Law Free Online Legal Dictionary, second edition, the definition for statutory law means a body of written laws that have been adopted by a legislative body. See, written laws that have been adopted by man and forcing you to abide by them. See, so if you ever hear something about legislative, you know that that's not positive law. I mean, that's not real law. It's positive law, but positive, it does not equal real law. So meaning adopted by man to overrule the natural law. Legislation is created to overrule, is meaning meaning adopted by man to overrule natural law, meaning common law, which is the closest law to the Most High, highest law. So, okay, I would like to make it perfectly clear that we are biblical ambassador Israelites by blood of the Most High Ahaya, according to 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 20, that says, now then, we are ambassadors for Christ of the Messiah, as though God did beseech you by us. We pray you in Messiah's stead, be you reconciled to God. I am the chief ambassador of the Second March to Exodus movement. And according to Ephesians chapter 6, verse 18 through 21, praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, and watching thereunto with all perseverance and supplication for all saints, and for me that utterance may be given unto me, that I may open my mouth boldly to make known the mystery of the gospel, for which I am an ambassador in bonds, that therein I may speak boldly as I ought to speak, but that ye also may know my affairs and how I do. So we are dual American national republics by birth. Remember that. That's why we have dual nationalities. We are Israelites by blood, and we are American national republics by birth, as defined in many laws, in man's law, 8 USC 1101A 1421, as defined in man's law, section 101A 21 of the Immigration and Nationality Act, INA. We are non-citizen nationals as defined in man's law, 8 USC 1452, a non-U.S. citizen under man's law, 8 U.S.C. 1401. We declare that we are not so-called black or so-called African Americans, etc., or of African nationality or descent. We are citizens of heaven on earth, domiciled in the kingdom of heaven on earth, the property of our most high supreme sovereign creator, Ahaya. According to Philippians chapter 3, verse 20 through 21, and I'm talking about the New King James Version because it gives a better explanation of what I'm trying to say, or what actually the Most High is saying. For our citizenship is in heaven, from which we also eagerly await for the Savior, the Messiah, Yashar'al Messiah, who will transform our lowly body that it may be conformed to his glorious body, according to the working by which he is able even to subdue all things to himself. I would also like to make it perfectly clear that we of the Second March to Exodus movement are not what the government and the FBI call sovereign citizens. We are biblical ambassadors, Israelite by blood of the Most High Ahaya, dual American national republics by birth, citizens of heaven on earth, domiciled in the kingdom of heaven on earth, the property of our Most High supreme sovereign creator. Contest any government or corporate jurisdiction over us. We contest any governmental or corporate jurisdiction over us because we have not consented to that jurisdiction, to any corporation jurisdiction, like some camps have done. So let's get that straight up front. So we as biblical ambassador Israelites, dual American national republics by birth, show you reality, not by the interpretation of our own opinion, but by the interpretation from the Holy Bible, and as interpreted by way of man's law. Therefore, we biblical ambassadors of the Second March to Exodus movement oppose any attempt by any government or by any of its agencies to interpret us as anything other than what we have declared, which would be a violation of freedom to engage in association for the advancement of beliefs and ideas is an inseparable aspect of the liberty assured by the due process clause of the 14th Amendment, which embraces freedom of speech. Of course, it is immaterial whether the beliefs ought to be advanced by association pertain to political, economic, religious, or cultural matters, and state action which may have the effect of curtailing the freedom to associate is subject to the closest scrutiny. The right of association is a derivative from the First Amendment, guarantees of speech, assembly, and petition, although it has at times been referred to as independent freedom protected by the First Amendment. By contrast, the general First Amendment right to be free from government compulsion to engage in expression or associational activity is not limited to non-disclosure of a particular information, whether it protects against compelled expression or association of any sort, so long as it is not outweighed by a contravailing government interest. Moreover, First Amendment protection against compelled expression is provided not simply as a means of avoiding a chilling effect on the exercise of the rights to speak and to associate, but rather to protect against government invasion of the sphere of intellect and spirit. Now I'm going to open the mic for questions. Please raise your hand by tapping on the word more and with the three dots at the bottom of your screen, and then tap the raise hand button. I want to say that everything that we just read is not real. You know, the government, how the government is operating is how they are able to murder our people. You know, under corporate law, under corporate statutes, customs, practices, under legislation, which is legal. None of this stuff is right. and they only are able to do what they're doing is because we are agreeing to what you call legal, what you call they mix lawful in there with legal, and neither and legal and lawful is not the same thing. They're not the same. Lawful is real law. Legal is fictional. Unlawful is real. Illegal is fictional. Legal is something you do, is with permission, when you ask them for permission. But they also force you to do something legal. Like if they force you, if they try to write you a traffic ticket, and if you refuse to sign it, if you refuse to put your own property on that piece of paper, they threaten you with arrest. That's like a mafia. That's like mafia, something a mafia would do. You know, why would you have to put something, your signature on something that you don't want to? It belongs to you. Why, if it's right, if it's righteous law, why would they force you to put your signature on it if it's righteous? You know, under common law, you could do things that you want to do as long as you don't hurt nobody. But under something legal, you ain't hurt nobody, but they want you to accept accept something they call a crime when there's no victim. See, so why would you do something? Okay, somebody got their hands up. Okay, okay. Shalom, Mark.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Okay, but I was trying to see the difference between common law and and civil law. Like in court, which jurisdiction would you be under?
Civil law. You know,
Civil.
that's yeah. See, this is a two part study because it's so long. You know, I could have kept going and I would have got to that part where it says, you know, which jurisdiction will we be in or what court we'll be in. You know, that's going to take place Friday. Uh, I mean Thursday. You know,
Okay, do they even recognize common law?
yes, they do. But you know what? They
You have to
recognize it,
enforce
but
it.
they recognize it. But when you go into court, you got, yeah, you're right. You got to enforce it. You got to put it. That's what you call, when I talk about counterclaims. Counterclaim, it means that you're gonna enforce the common law, because right now they're operating under civil law, what you call admiralty law, what you call maritime law, what you call statutory law. See, when you go into court, the first thing you do, the first thing you want to do, which we're going to talk more about this in another conference, is that you want to go there and you want to reserve your rights. The first thing you do, if they call your government name up, you get up there and you will say something like, I'm here for that matter. And they say, are you and before you even stop anything else, you'll continue and you'll say, I reserve my rights without prejudice under UCC 1-308, formerly known as 1-207. And I like for it to be on record that I'm not such and such, whoever they called, you know, that government name. You say that you're not that individual. You're the representative. You know, there's a whole process. Because right now you saying you there by special appearance, not general appearance. There's a difference between general and special appearance. That's also, we're going to also talk about that too, and more more conferences. That the more conferences we have, the more things that I'm going beyond. You asked me a question, so yeah, I gotta.
Gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
yeah, so like, you know, there's a process. You what you doing when you going in court, when you counterclaim, that means what it means. It means that you're challenging their jurisdiction. See what I'm saying? To do what they doing to you, like gave you a traffic ticket, you going into court and said, you know, I don't agree with this because I didn't even want to sign it in the first place. And even if you did sign it, you signed it in your Hebrew name. See what I'm saying? So you have
Right.
you have what you call standing. They don't have standing. because you never agreed to enter into a contract with them in the first place. So why, if they could do what they're doing, they don't need you to sign anything. If it was real law, they wouldn't need you to sign anything. They asking you to enter into a contract with them. When the police stop you, he'll ask you something like, do you understand why I stopped you? And you say, yeah, I understand. You just enter into a verbal contract with him because you believe you did something wrong. You think you like ran a stop sign. But guess what? That's not a crime. A crime, like I always say, in order for there to be a crime, there must be a victim. You must have harmed somebody. If there's no victim, there's no crime. You see what I'm saying? So they got us brainwashed real good, you know, from the age, from when we was a baby up to the time we grew up, to believe that they have authority over us when they don't, or they have authority over corporations. You know, I watched a video of a camp talking about that we must submit to their jurisdiction. We must submit to them. You know what? If you're a corporation, you submit to them. You go ahead and submit to them because I'm not submitting to them. I'm not submitting to a corporation. These people are corporations, and they're using laws, corporation laws against us. See, that's why these camps are incorporating themselves. They're becoming agents for the government. They're becoming officers for the government. You know what I'm saying? And when they tell you that you ain't sovereign, they're the ones not sovereign. See, you sovereign, you over them. You over them. You see what I'm saying? When you assert your sovereignty, you over the corporation. They made themselves corporations, and they're incorporating Israelites at the same time. And guess what? If you're not incorporating yourself, then you're a real person. That's what you consider natural law. We just talked about natural law, but they in positive law. See, they operating under positive law, which is legal. But we're outside of that. We're operating under natural law, which is common law. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah. You have any other questions, Doc?
No.
Anybody else have any questions? Hello? I hope I ain't put nobody to sleep.
I'm awake.
Okay, Zachariah. Man, let me see. Unmute.
Shalom. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Zakari.
Zakari. Yeah.
I got a question. I got a question about when you said, I mean, I understand when you say we supposed to sign our Israelite, our Hebrew name, but say for instance, it was somebody that already signed their government name on their, like they just got pulled over for a traffic ticket, and then they signed their government name, right? But then they came to you and they declared their nationality and all that. And then because when we declare our nationality, we actually take ownership of the government name, right? So I mean, they can still technically they can, even though they signed a government name, they own at that point they own, once they declare their nationality, they own the government name, right? So it still doesn't really matter, right?
No, it really doesn't matter. They could still, declare their true nationality. Because they just coming into the truth. You know what I'm saying? Because fraud is always fraud. That's what we operating under when we dealing with the police. We operating under fraud and conspiracy. You know what I'm saying? Right. All the code enforcers are what you call Mustafas. They enforce laws. They enforcing laws for the higher ups. They're the muscles. See what I'm saying? They making us go into something we don't want to go into, which is a contract. That's the truth. He pull out that piece of paper and tell you to sign. That's a contract. You put your signature on whatever you put your signature on. It's a contract. Even if you speak can be a contract. The first thing that a code enforcer does is ask you, do you understand why I stopped you? That's right there. That's the beginning of a verbal contract. You know what I'm saying? That's a verbal contract. Once you say yes, then he could go forward because he just says, "Do you understand?" That means, "Do you stand under my authority to give you this citation?" And you said, "Yeah." You said, "Yeah, I know what I did. I ran that light." So what? Okay, but well, who was the victim because you ran that light? Okay, it was a mistake. You ran the light, but you didn't harm nobody when you did it. You didn't harm nobody when you ran that stop sign. You didn't harm nobody when you had a broken tail light out. You see what I'm saying? You see, I mean, like I said, when they give you a ticket, man, they saying they suing you. They suing you like you harmed them. You see, only somebody you harm can bring a claim against you. So it's so much deception going on, man. Like they say, it might be you might be in the state of Alabama, and they say Alabama versus you. They submit a traffic ticket to you, and they say Alabama versus you. You know what I'm saying? So it's all in disguise. It's disguised to make you believe that something is real that is not really real. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's up to you to stand up and declare who you truly are. That's how they killing us. And when we go to court, when one of our people, so-called black people, get shot, and they say we're going to investigate. First of all, you don't even realize that you're a corporation, and corporations are already dead. And the first thing they said was justified homicide. You know why? Because you're a corporation, you're already dead. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
See, but it's hard to get our people to understand this concept. When you're a corporation, corporations. I mean, all they got to do is look up the definition of corporation. Look at these camps incorporating themselves. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. It's nonsense.
Yeah.
You got any another question?
No, but I
Yeah,
was just
yeah, I got a question.
Okay,
Okay, but now we declared ourselves. So, like when they pull us over and we say, "No, we do not understand." What's the next step? What, they just gonna start explaining something to us,
you know what?
um,
You know
or
what?
should we reserve our rights right then?
You know what? It's gonna fall on you. First of all, if you say you don't understand, they like at the bottom of the pyramid. They not gonna take the time to argue with you. You know what I'm saying? Okay? If say like if it was a code enforcer, it was not a sergeant. A sergeant is most likely is going to be their supervisor. You shouldn't even argue with the person that stopped you, because they belong. What you starting to talk about is below they is over their pay grade. You know what I'm saying? So that's why you
Right,
would ask for a supervisor. You see what I'm saying? The things
right,
that you said, that code enforcer don't want to hear that. He's looking for you to abide by what he's telling you to do. That's all. That's all his motive is. His motivation is to get a ticket to you and put you in court. Yeah, most supervisors, if you call for their supervisors, most supervisors are wanting the same thing. But some of them are starting to learn, that people are waking up. You know, so basically, you be schooling these code enforcers, these police officers too. Because
that's
they don't know. They only know one way, what they've been taught in school. See what I'm saying? What they've been taught in academy. This is
like I
what you
did
need
at
to do.
that accident.
Yeah, the accident. And they said that it's a civil matter.
Yep,
Yeah, they said it's a civil matter, and you go to court, and that's between. See, that's what I'm saying. See, that's the proper way right there.
just don't say
That goes to
nothing.
tell you. That goes to tell you right there. It's a civil matter. It's not criminal, but they're gonna arrest you because you don't want to sign a civil piece of paper. See, a traffic ticket. They're gonna arrest you and try to say it's a criminal matter. That's a good example of what you came encountering with. They said if
Yeah,
it's a civil matter. If it's
Yeah, because
civil,
I
then why?
said
Go ahead.
when they arrived, I said, I don't know what happened. And then he was like, okay. And then she started explaining to me what happened. I just kept shaking my head. And then they took paperwork, then brought it back, and then he went explaining stuff. So basically, what you do, just shut the heck up. Let them do their job.
I don't know. I mean, that's something that you gotta decide, or whether you're gonna talk or whether you're gonna shut up, and what stage you're gonna do that. Do those things, because you don't know what they're gonna say to the next. You know what I'm saying? But you know what you're gonna say. You know, you're gonna say, I mean, depending on the situation, who is the victim? What crime am I being committed? Have I allegedly committed? Depending on the situation, you don't know what's gonna come out. How it's gonna come out. But one thing you do know is that it's not real law. That's one thing that you do know. It's not real law. You're not operating in real law. In order for them to get you to go to court, they need your signature. So, in other words, if you refuse, there is no crime. But since you can't refuse, because they're gonna say, you know what, if you don't sign it, I'm gonna take you to jail. I mean, and it's not even a crime. Not a crime has been committed. Now, because I refuse, you're gonna force me to sign my signature on that piece of paper, on that contract that I don't want to enter into. See? So, I mean, think about that, man. Why do we have to sign things? And it's the same way when you go into jail. They tell you that they need your fingerprints and they need your picture. But before that, they tell you to sign these papers. Why do they do that? Because they can't have you in their facility without your consent. See, this is the stuff that many people don't understand. And what they don't understand is, and when they don't understand something, they'll tell you to go to do what they tell you to do, because they don't understand themselves, or maybe they do understand and they just helping the government. See what I'm saying? It's like, why should I do? You put your pants on just the same way I do. You know what I'm saying? Who are you to tell me the only way someone can make me do something, unless I agree? If I ain't harmed nobody, you can't do nothing to me, because there's no victim. I didn't harm you, so how you gonna bring a claim against me? See, this has nothing to do about uh 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 whether someone is gonna kill you. Well, what they're gonna kill you for? Because you refuse to give
Them your name.
no, you refuse to give away your sovereignty. They say these people talking about you don't have no sovereignty. Wait a minute. If I don't have no sovereignty, then that means that who was I when I was first born? What was I? Nobody had authority over me until my mother signed those birth certificates, until my mother signed those Social Security cards. The government had nothing on me at all until I was registered with the government. So now you're saying that I gotta abide by your rules and regulations. What if I don't want to? What if I don't want to? Who are you to force me to do that? Oh, it's the law. Whose law? I didn't agree to go with this law. I ain't harmed nobody. You know what I'm saying? This is we operate in civil law, just like the man told you. If we're operating in civil law and it's a civil matter, then you told me I had to go to court and deal with it, and between my insurance company and stuff like that. So why is you trying to turn it into a criminal matter by arresting me? See, once you get arrested, that means that you done did a crime. You committed a crime. How can a traffic violation become a criminal matter if it's civil? You have to do something in order for it to be arrested. You understand? And you can't get arrested for a civil matter. It's got to be a criminal matter. So why do they force us to sign documents when we don't want to sign them? And it turns into something criminal when it wasn't criminal in the first place. See? How can they do that? You know, how can they force us to sign papers to take our fingerprints when we in a facility? How can they take our picture if we don't want to or want them to? Every time, like I said, you go to jail, man, they ask you to sign something before they attempt to take your picture and your fingerprints. Or if you don't know no better, they'll take your fingerprints and take your picture and tell you to sign afterwards. Sign something afterwards because you don't know no better. You accustomed to going in there and doing what they tell you to do because you believe that they got authority to do what they doing. And the only reason why they got authority because you gave them consent. You must consent. See? So, like I said, man, these camps have corrupted themselves if they incorporated themselves with the government. You know, Moses did not when the Most High commissioned Moses, and Moses the first. Okay, we know that Moses grew up in ancient Egypt. You know, we know he grew up in ancient Egypt, and he was raised in Egypt, and then he grew up and found out that he was an Israelite. He killed an Egyptian, and he ran away. And the Most High commissioned Moses to go get the rest of his people. He didn't say go back and incorporate yourself into the government. Moses didn't go back and reincorporate himself into the government to get his people. See what I'm saying? No, he went there to get his people out of the corporation. See, our people, these camps are not doing that. They incorporating themselves and then making people believe that they don't have sovereignty. You were sovereign the day you was born until your mother signed that birth certificate and the Social Security card. Now you got a number on you. Now you got a government number on you. What if you never had a birth certificate? There's nothing on you. You haven't been registered. You haven't been nothing. But these camps want you to believe that you're not sovereign. Then if you're not sovereign, then that means that they never had to have any birth certificate on you or a Social Security card on you or anything. See? But see, if you're not sovereign, they don't need you to sign any traffic ticket. Because then if you're not sovereign, they could just take you and do anything they want to you. But they need your consent. That means you give up your sovereignty when you sign your name. You give it up. They need you to give it up. They just like you. Only thing is they got labels and you don't. You know what I'm saying? They got the so-called label of authority that you went through all your years to believe that it is right. It's righteous. You know, that they right. They got authority to do what they want to you. But they don't. They don't. Only if you consent can they do what they want to you. Only if you consent. See? And you know what? They got these people helping them, forcing you. And it's not bad enough that you already grew up believing that you had to do this stuff in the first place. But now that you're awake, how can you be awake and still do what they want you to do at the same time? Come on, man, something is wrong. I'm awake and I know that I ain't got to do this, and you telling me I got to do it, that I ain't sovereign? Then what's the point of being awake then?
Right.
You gonna tell me I'm not sovereign? I'm awake. You waking me up, telling me that this is wrong, but you telling me I still got to follow that wrong? You got me confused. You ain't leading me right. How you gonna tell me this stuff, man? You confusing me. Only ignorant people gonna follow some people who talking this stuff. You know, it doesn't make sense. You know, our 400 years is complete according to prophecy of Genesis chapter 15, verse 13 to 14. Well, 13 anyway, 15, 13. That prophecy is complete. Our 400 years is up. So you still telling me that I'm awake now, and I'm still supposed to follow what they want me to do, and I'm awake. Let me get this right. I'm awake, but still follow what they do, what they telling me to do. That don't make no sense. Those curses got to be lifted off because I'm awake now. Therefore, I got to do something the book tell me to do in order to regain my sovereignty that I used to have before I was into slavery. If you don't have sovereignty, then that means you was always in slavery. But he said they said that that you had sovereign until you went into captivity. Okay, now at what point do I ask for my sovereignty or demand my sovereignty back? Not ask. I'm a man. I'm a man, and I'm awake now. So I'm going to demand my sovereignty back. When? At what point you want me to do that? Oh, you want me to stay a slave until when? You know? Until when? Tell me. I want you to tell me how long you want me to stay a slave before I start talking about I'm free and demand to be free. Man, this is crazy. These people crazy. That means that they actually doing stuff for these people, man. Because they ain't making they're not making any sense, man. They're not making any sense. They incorporated. You know what I'm saying? And they say they're a church. The Most High said, "Thou should not steal, thou should not lie." You know, thou should not lie. If you're an Israelite and you getting away from a church, why are you saying that you're a corporation and your corporation is a church?
The Israelites united with the church.
But Eld, I seen that one part when he said talking about signing the papers with the white man to become sovereign. See that right there? That he don't even understand what it means to be sovereign. Because
What did he say? What did he say?
Yeah, I forgot about that.
What did he say?
He said something about going to the white man to sign papers to become sovereign. So he don't even understand how sovereignty works.
What he said? Go to the white man to be sovereign. What?
Yeah, he said you got to sign some papers you got to sign some papers to be sovereign.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Okay, if he said that you got to sign papers to be sovereign, what did he sign to become a corporation? Why didn't he sign the papers to be sovereign instead of a corporation?
I guess they don't have no papers to be sovereign.
No.
But they have contracts. They don't have a contract to become sovereign. Wait a minute. Why do you have to sign a contract with your oppressors to become sovereign?
Right.
That's
why don't you sign it with yourself and then give it to people and let them know, say, here it is on paper, I'm sovereign. Why do I have to go to you to be sovereign? Why do I need permission from you? Who are you? Won't you come to me and be sovereign?
Right.
Who are you to make me sovereign? Who is you? The Most High makes me sovereign. That's who created me. You didn't create me. I mean, did he actually say that you need to go to them and sign something to be sovereign?
Yep. Yeah, he said all these people going down there to them people, signing their papers and stuff, getting them people papers.
Did he say the government or did he say people? Which one?
The government.
He said the white man. I think it's what
he said. Man, then that means he don't know what he's talking about.
Right.
Not one time in the video did he quote any man's law. He didn't quote nothing. He was quoting scriptures, but he didn't quote no man. He didn't quote nothing about man's law, meaning he don't know nothing about man's law.
No. Nope.
He's just talking. You see what I'm saying? Right. That means, you know what? I tell you what, let somebody come to me trying to talk about man's law. Man, I will shoot them down so quick, you know? And what I do know about the Bible, that too. Everything I'm talking about, you know, man's law come from the Most High's law. And if you don't know both of them, you lost. Because that's why you ended up becoming a corporation. You have no clue what you've done becoming a corporation. And not only that, you incorporating the Israelites. Moses did not incorporate any Israelites. He went to get the Israelites out of the corporation. This is crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's why he's teaching his people that.
And they supposed to be our leaders, bringing us out of this mess, but they keeping us in it. Seriously, I mean, what kind of sense is this making? At what point is you gonna start telling us we need to come out? You know,
Right.
and I'm telling you, if our people don't come out of this mess, they gonna always be able to go get them. You know, if you're a corporation, you belong to the corporation. You belong to the government. If you created a corporation, these people had. Guess what they had to do? They had to go to the oppressor to incorporate themselves.
Right.
They had
Think
to go
about
to
that.
the white man. They had to
Yeah,
go to the white
and they
man.
talking
Like
about
you
you
said.
got to go to them and become sovereign. No, we talking the opposite. We're talking about doing it ourselves, but they went to the white man, the so-called white man, and became incorporated.
No,
Yeah.
better yet, we going to the Most High.
Yeah, yeah, we're going to the Most High is giving us the tools to do what we need to do in regards to Him. That's what we're doing. Yeah, you're right. We're going to the Most High, but they going to
Yep.
their oppressors and becoming
Right.
incorporated.
Uh-huh.
See, they talking the opposite of what we doing.
Right.
They saying that we be doing that. No, that's what they doing.
He said the Moors. I don't think he talking about us.
Yeah, but you know what? They saying the Moors, but you know they see us doing that too. They see us. The
Mm-hmm.
Moors ain't trying to incorporate real. The real Israelites are not trying to go to the Moors to be incorporated. I mean to declare their nationality.
Right.
Not that I know of anyway.
I think he was lumping us in with him.
Huh?
I think he was lumping us in with the Moors.
Exactly. Without doing it. Without I believe he was talking about me without saying me.
Right.
See, and he put the Moors in place of me. You know, because
Yep.
he was saying something about Israelites doing it. You know,
Right.
Yeah,
Yep.
he did say Israelite.
And he was talking about driver's licenses, and he talking about sovereign driver's license or something
right?
like that.
Tags and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So so yeah. So Lethra, you ain't said nothing. Now, what you doing?
He probably dozed off.
You probably said I done put him to sleep, huh? But you know what? It's amazing that this is the true way right here. This is the true way coming out of the system. But you know what? They too stuck on the majority. Our people stuck on the majority, believing, that's what it always happens that way. The majority, the people follow the majority and think that everybody is right that's following the majority.
Yep.
And always be only a few that makes it.
Yep. Yep. And just like it tells us that in Revelation, the pathway to destruction is far and wide, and the pathway to righteousness
It's
is narrow.
narrow. It's narrow. There ain't too many people gonna make it through the narrow. They is wide. I mean, but their mentality can't even grasp that. They can't even grasp that. They follow the majority all the way. If the majority fall off a cliff, they gonna fall off the cliff too.
Yeah. Just
You know,
following the majority. Yeah.
following the majority.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it doesn't even make sense. The majority is getting upset because of the minority is showing you the way to do it. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy. It's crazy.
Uh,
You know? Yeah. But we're gonna keep going though. We're gonna keep going because we know we doing the right thing. We're irrespective if nobody else believe us. You know what I'm saying? The
right.
thing is that Noah had the same problem.
Yeah.
You know, all those people.
Yeah.
You telling me only 8 people made it?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Only 8 people made it.
Yep. And but the thing is, if they actually took time to actually look at the stuff you're talking about as far as the law, they would see that. I mean, because even if you just take the Bible and the truth out of it, if you just look at it from from a law standpoint, the stuff
Mm-hmm.
makes sense. If you line it up with law. It's like you're talking about lawful versus legal. Everything you're saying makes sense.
Right. There's always two sides of every story, man. There's good, there's bad. There's evil, there's evil, and there's righteous. You know, there's tails and there's tail. You know what I'm saying? So it's always two sides. Something got to be wrong and something got to be right. You know,
Yep.
I mean, there's the real you and there's the paper you. You see what I'm saying? There's always two sides. Whatever the Most High create, man have a counterfeit. See,
Yep.
see. Either you with the real thing or you with the counterfeit. You see what I'm
Exactly.
saying? And if you incorporate it, you with the counterfeit.
Yep.
You
They
know,
on
why
that
would you
loose.
why would you incorporate yourself if the Most High made you free?
Right.
Why would you go to the man and incorporate yourself?
Right. They want to keep everybody on the legal side.
That's the legal side. That's right. I'm
Mhm.
lawfully free. I'm lawfully sovereign. You legally enslaved. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying?
Yep.
Hmm. But like I said, people follow it. They follow the majority until it's too late. Until it's too late.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Common sense, man. It's common sense. And
Yep.
then when it's too late, you feel bad for them. You feel bad for them, but what can you do? What can you do? You don't want to say I told you so. You don't want to say that. You rather for them to live than to say I told you so.
Right. Right. And this so-called legal system got our people. They got our people in prison for life for little stuff, minor stuff, and they talking about
It's not minor stuff. It's no. It's no stuff.
right. Yeah.
It's
Nothing.
nothing.
Yeah.
It's nothing.
Mhm.
Only because we're being deceived, Doc. Because we
Right.
think that our oppressors got the authority to do what they do, but they need our consent. They need our consent. Every time they say something, you should always say, "Can I get that in writing? Do I have to sign that?" You know what I'm saying? Because we have a sense of just entering into a contract verbally and actually doing what they tell us to do verbally. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because we really believe that they could do what that they could force us to do what they telling us to do. Because they have guns, you know what I'm saying? They did it to a lot of other people. So we follow the other people. Okay, they did it, so we got to do it too. But what if you stand up for yourself and say, "Look here, according to the United States Constitution, you cannot do this to me without due process of law." We already know that if we go into a courtroom, it's not a constitutional court. So therefore, we're going to have to go through the process. Then you know what? The process is going to discourage a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? So they rather just do what they tell them to do to get it over with. Guess what? It's never over with. You're still in the system, and it's going to
Yep.
happen over and over again until
Mm-hmm.
you stand up and say, "I want out."
Mm-hmm.
See, you think that you do a so-called crime. You run a red light and you hire an attorney. An attorney got you think the attorney got you off of something, and he ain't get you off of nothing. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is that what you failing to realize is that you're actually in the system. You actually in the system because now they could add that on to anything else that you might do. They feel that you did wrong, which they feel is a crime. They say, "Well, you committed this crime." Well, you know what? It's not even a crime. But they're gonna add this other thing that's not even crime onto that thing too. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And by law, they say it's a crime. It's only a crime because you consented to it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's
And you,
this is too deep. You got to sit here and talk like this, like we talking right now, like we talking to get an understanding. But people are too busy to take the time to stop and listen. And try to understand. what's being said, because there's a lot of confusion going on too. You know, a lot of people think they know the law. A lot of people think because they call themselves officers or captains in these camps. That authority. See, that's what I'm saying. That's what I was talking about. Labels. You label yourself a captain. People look at authority. Huh? You know what I'm saying? Just because you call yourself a officer or a captain in this or the corporation you created doesn't mean I gotta abide by what you say. You see what I'm saying? I don't have to abide by what you're saying. I didn't ask to join that corporation.
Right.
See? And then they use fear. They're saying if you do that, they gonna kill you. Well, we know that they kill people anyway, and that is not doing it. People that's not claiming their sovereignty is being murdered. So what you trying to tell me? Not to try something that sounds legit. Just wait till my turn to be murdered.
Right. That's basically what they're saying.
I'd rather be murdered doing something about not being murdered than doing nothing and being murdered. You know.
I say that sound like a real coward to me. You got hundreds of people, and you just gonna sit there and let them do one person any kind of way.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. You know, you go out there and march. What's the point of marching? What's the point of even having a big army like you got if you ain't gonna do nothing with it?
Right.
You know. Well, if you not, I mean, if you're gonna tell me to do what they tell me to do, what's the point I need to join your army for? You know? An army, when you got an army, that it opposes something. You know what I'm saying? It has something to oppose. But if you get an army and you join with the oppressor, then you ain't no better than the oppressor.
Right. They just an army for the oppressor. Just another army.
Another army for the oppressor to keep the masses in pacified and in check. But it used to be the courts. I mean, it used to be the churches.
Yeah.
Now they knew people was gonna wake up. Now they infiltrated us and told the ones that incorporated themselves, incorporate yourself, because we're gonna get a mass awakening coming, and we're gonna need y'all to gather men, because the churches their time is over now. See, their time is over now.
Yeah, nobody going to church anymore.
Right.
What was that scripture I was reading that day about how the I forget. Dang. How the leaders was going astray, and then nobody ain't gonna follow them because they doing because of their wrongdoings.
Yeah.
About the priests or something. Was that Hosea? No, that was Isaiah. Isaiah 12 or 14, something like that.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. I can't think of it though.
But the church was whoring and the people. I think it was Isaiah.
Are you talking about with the itching, when they're talking about the itching ears? Or are you talking about something else?
I'm not sure. Let me see if I can find it.
Are you talking about what says the priest lead the flock to the slaughter or something like that?
No, it was saying like about the prophets, all of them gonna be shut down because ain't nobody gonna follow them because they drunk. Oh, about the drunken priest. What that was?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, that's how the church falling out. They got too much wrongdoings in their congregation. Ain't nobody finna keep following them. So now they got the Israel United in Christ, whatever. Everybody want to follow them because they seem like they're doing the righteous thing, but
Right.
actually just doing the same thing.
Yeah, that's
Right.
right.
Yep.
That's right.
It's like they letting our people know who they are, but at the same time they tell them just to keep. They tell them the
Condemning
same thing the church saying.
That's
Sit
right.
down.
exactly.
That's what it says. Satan's got to tell some truth before he tell a lie.
Hold your tongue.
Yep.
I mean, he's saying it plain as day. Just shut up and let them do what they want to do to you.
Yep. Basically. And then he read that one. What he read that one verse where he said that if you what verse was that he read where he said if you righteous then the oppressor won't
Yeah.
the oppressor won't. I can't think of the verse.
Yeah.
Pressure won't what?
He said basically that that verse where it says the oppressor won't harm you if you're doing if you're righteous. He
Yeah.
read
If
that.
you do it right, if you everything you do
What?
right
So
in
if
your life.
if you do what they tell you to do, you righteous.
That basically
No,
that's what he was saying.
now he's saying the Most High gonna save you if you're doing righteous. I mean, but if you
But
ain't
what
doing
is
righteous,
righteous though?
he
What is
gonna let the enemy kill you. He gonna force them officers' guns to shoot you.
so what you telling me that me wanting to be free is not righteous? Me wanting to be sovereign like I'm supposed to be when I was born is not righteous?
Right. Yep.
Me
That's what he said.
not wanting to follow sign contracts with these people is not righteous.
I never thought about that, but yeah,
Yep. That's basically what he was saying.
that's what he said too. 'Cause that
Man,
was his,
that's
his whole
confusion,
point.
man. That's confusion.
Yep. And then when he mentioned taxes, I'm like, he don't even know
Taxes.
nothing about. Yeah, he said that talking about we supposed to be paying taxes. I'm like, it's people that don't even know nothing about the scripture that understand that they don't have to pay taxes. So it's so much that he don't know, like he didn't know nothing.
Wait a
But
minute. Wait a minute. First of all, they a non-profit corporation, and they ain't even paying taxes.
right,
They a
right.
five. They a 503. What is it? 5013C3,
See, yeah,
and they ain't paying taxes, and they telling somebody else they need to pay tax.
yep,
Yeah.
that's what he's saying.
Oh man. When you think about it, that's the whole objective. Y'all keep paying y'all tithes, and I ain't gonna have to pay mine as long as I keep y'all paying y'all.
Right.
Man, you telling me our people can't see through this? They went from the frying pan into the kettle. I mean, from the kettle to the fire pan. They went from one corrupt thing to the next.
Yep. And it's people. That's another thing. Like it's people that don't know nothing about scripture, but they understand law and they understand they don't have to pay tax. So, but he don't even understand. Or maybe he does understand. Maybe he just purposely lying to people. I don't know.
You
At
know what?
first, yeah, you
The
hear
Most
what they
High,
call themselves.
the Most High says we ambassadors. I read the scriptures. I read the scriptures out. The Most High said we ambassadors of the Messiah.
They
You know what
say
I'm
we
saying?
officers,
But they say they captains. But guess what?
captains, and
Our people only
officers.
recognizes ambassadors does all the go to the other governments and negotiate. You know that, right?
Right.
That's why.
Ambassadors.
That's why. That's why it ain't but a few of us, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna go ahead and let y'all go. Get off here.
Okay. All right. Shalom. You have a good night.
Y'all too. Shalom out.
Shalom.
Yeah.
Let the world know. World of Israel. Snap your fingers, snap them. snap your fingers, snap them. World of Israel, snap your fingers, snap them. Ain't nobody greater, ain't nobody greater. You say that you love him, but you won't even keep his laws to save your life. You say that you need him, but when problems arise, you try to solve it your way. You say that you wanna go back with him. I know that that's a fact, but what is the use when you won't serve him? I advise you to serve the Lord right now. The Most High is the best, best, best. Ain't nobody greater. He'll help you through your test. Ain't nobody greater. He's Lord God, oh yeah. He's his heart. When problems knock you down, he won't let you hit the ground. So please just remember this. Ain't nobody greater. You say that there's nothing wrong with breaking God's laws. You say that there's nothing wrong, and nothing bad will happen to you. But don't you know if you don't repent? But don't you know you're gonna die? But don't you know you're gonna die? But don't you know you're gonna die? But don't you know? But if you repent, but don't you know to save your life? But don't you know you're gonna rise? The Most High is the best, best, best. Ain't nobody greater. He'll help you through your test. Ain't nobody greater. He's Lord God, oh yeah. He's his heart. When problems knock you down, when it gets hard, so please just remember this. Ain't nobody greater. Sometimes in our lives we will make mistakes, but you gotta pray. He who overcomes will inherit all things. God says, for all have sinned and have fallen short of the glory of God. God searches the heart and he searched the mind. He treats you as you are and not what you pretend to be. The Most High is the best, best, best.